Okay, ladies, let's start. So, welcome to another podcast of the Ladies Room. I have Miss Whitney Wright, I have Miss Courtney Mucklin, and I have Clarice. Theronda will be joining us later, and Desiree will sit this one out. Okay. So, the first topic we're going to have Clarice present, and then I'm going to let you guys respond to it.
Okay, so all over social media this past week or so, Tamar Braxton and her boyfriend, and I think they've been dating maybe 2.5 years at this point or so. He filed a restraining order or something against her, citing abuse. And I also posted in the group, and I'll tell you, let me read exactly what the headline says. Tamar Braxton's boyfriend files restraining order against Tamar, indicates domestic violence. So yeah, that's where we're at with Tamar. I don't, the article that I read said, don't jump to conclusions. We don't know the whole story. But he also posted a video on Instagram later on in the week and talked about exactly what happened. I don't know if you all seen it or want to chime in on it.
I hadn't seen the video. What was it about?
He basically said that he was, one, they hadn't broke up. So that's number one. Number two, he basically said that she hit him while he was driving her to therapy and basically almost made them crash and stuff like that. That's the ultimately thing what he said in the video. So I don't know exactly what happened, but I don't know.
I mean, anytime there's video evidence, that would be damning. But at this point, I feel like him making those statements on videos is still he said, she said for now. I mean, all you did was an interview that didn't really it's not like it was body camera footage, which it would be pretty ridiculous if they had. But either way, I still think that that's kind of a he said, she said situation. And I think I had commented in our text group back when Desiree first presented the information that kind of seeing the way that Tamar interacts with other people, whether they're male or female, it wouldn't surprise me to hear, and it didn't surprise me to hear someone accuse her of domestic violence, but doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. So I have an open mind. It's just that some of the really mean and messy stuff that she's tried to pull with other women over the past several years kind of doesn't do well to build up her character, I guess, in the public eye. I think that people kind of know her for being involved in drama. So, I mean, it was kind of okay. I can remember there was an incident either last year or year before last with Toya Wright. She's the ex of Lil Wayne, and they have the daughter together, Reginae Carter, where she was going to bring her onto the talk show that Kaya, the rapper Kaya, hosts with this other lady, basically to drag her and roast her in front of whoever. And I think that it was the members of Escape that were also on that episode that kind of stopped the whole thing from happening, just because they were that's just really mean. And she and Toya expressed that she was grateful to them for doing that for her. But it's just things like that that make me kind of question your credibility. Because what reason do you have to tear other women down that you don't have a problem with, have never had a run-in with, other than maybe ratings or hey? I guess I would be a boring reality show star, because I would be what? Anytime something pops off, I'm where did this come from? I don't really get into stuff like that.
So I used to watch the show Braxton Family Values, and she pretty much act the same on there as well, just very toxic. And which is why, from what I read, her sister stopped wanting to film with her, because of her energy and things like that. So I don't know whether she actually beat the guy or not, or hit him, or was domestic violence or not. But I agree with Whitney that it's very possible that she hit him, and it's probably not the first time that she hit him. So
I'm gonna give my my take on it. So if you deal with a person who's been through childhood trauma, it shows up in their adult life, and it's very aggressive because no one addressed it, nobody got healing for it, nobody sought help for it. So what you're seeing in Tamar is childhood trauma that is now developing, and nobody set her down to get help. And then when someone tried to corner her, like Ayana, when Ayana went and met with the family, she felt like she was being cornered because someone was now pulling out that trauma that she thought she buried for so long. So to hear of this going on, and that she attacked him and this, that, and the third, I feel like from the first day of their relationship, it was already doomed, because you don't enter a relationship if you're getting out of marriage. You wasn't even, the ink on the divorce decree was not even dry. It wasn't even official. And then now you have this whole person, and you have this person around your son. And you guys know how I feel about the babies. I do not play when it comes to kids. You do what you do, but don't bring the kids. And I have seen where, on the show, it shows where he was in the home with the child and everything like that. So the child saw how you treated his mom, and how his mom treated you. And that's something that he should never experience, because it was never that situation and dealing that with his dad. So did it happen? It probably did happen. 9 times out of 10, it did happen. If he's going to file a criminal restraining order, do what you got to do, bro. But just keep it moving. Stop with the videos. Stop with the blogging about it. Like, you're the most boggling victim I ever seen for CTV. Like, you're doing too much. Do what you need to do legally. She need to move out your home with her son, and let bygones be bygones, and just chop it up and go about your business.
I thought it was interesting.
A question for what you. I'm sorry, Courtney. I think there's a little bit of a delay.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I'll be
Sorry.
quick. I thought it was interesting. I think I shared it with the group that I think later on that day, or maybe the next day, the Shade Room had posted that allegedly he had basically told her that he was going to kill him and kill her and himself. And I had read it, which, we don't know if it's true, but I read it and it was really disturbing. So basically it was saying that Tamar had some questions about him posting her 7-year-old son on his page, and she made the comment that he was around for the wrong reasons. So, and he couldn't be trusted. So then allegedly, he reportedly became irate, and then basically told her that allegedly that they were going to end up in a murder-suicide, which that's just a lot. And I don't even know my head is just, I don't know. If that's fake, I don't know why somebody would make that up. But if that's real, that's serious. And I'm wondering, did that lead into the domestic violence? Violence isn't, the answer at all. But if that was the case, she should have just got her stuff and left instead of trying to fight him. Because clearly, if he was going to say that, he's mentally unstable. So that was my little 2 cents for that.
Now, I would say I was listening to a blogger before coming on to the podcast. One of the things that he was saying was that Vincent, it's allegedly a text message that Vincent was saying about he was coming through to get the baby stuff and Tamar stuff and just let it go. And to be honest and speak about this is crazy, because I think that it's like if you guys, I don't know if you guys like me, but it's like you saw this coming. Like you saw it coming. A month ago you was on the a month ago you was on the internet crying, trying to call 911 for help. I don't know, because of the podcast, da 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 da. And her family at that time said that that was your character, that you was out of the order, and that you could not be trusted then. So it's funny to see that we're here now, but everybody saw it back then.
I would definitely agree with what you just said, Crystal. And I was not necessarily questioning earlier, but what I find interesting about your take on it is your professional area of expertise. You've seen a lot of things, that are similar to these accusations, and to families that have turmoil in them. You know what I'm saying? Like, so this is nothing new to you. I feel like from what you do for a living, working with those people who, like you said, are abused and come from that background, unfortunately.
And again, you see it every day. It's very common, especially in South Carolina. South Carolina has the highest rate of CDV, and it actually equates to the highest death rate among females. A lot of times they don't survive out of these things. When they said, "I'm gonna kill you and kill me," literally, that's what they mean. That's what they mean. They do not care about leaving behind this orphanage child. That's just what it is. So it doesn't matter that they're in the spotlight going through this. It is what it is. And if he said it, she needs to go. She needs to leave. She needs to take that baby. And at the same time, you have to look at the family structure. If you look, none of her sisters are coming to her defense, and they're a tight knit family.
So is it also possible that they don't want to not flame, but make it worse in media, and they're probably with her now? But yeah, it's something very toxic about Tamar. Very. It's her energy. And it was crazy as this article came out like a couple of days ago. They started airing her new show on WeTV. I can't think of the name of it, but it's strictly about her. And just watching it, I could see, like you said, there was childhood trauma, and just even how she moves. She don't move like a normal adult. She doesn't. Like, even the simplest things, she blow completely out of proportion. I'm like, is it that serious? So
I agree with you, Clarice. Like, ever since she, debuted herself as a singer, and I know she was singing backup for her sister and things, it always seemed like everything about her kind of has always seemed very like attention seeking, and just like over the top and like rude. I feel like she would be like one of those like friends who you kind of keep at like an arm's reach because they're exhausting. It's like you don't want to stop being their friend because you care about them, but you're like, I can't. That's a small doses friend. I can't hear from them every day, and I certainly can't see them every day, or I'm probably going to blow up on them at some point. And I consider myself a relatively nice person, but after a certain, period of time, I can't deal with that. So I definitely agree with what you're saying, Clarice. I think that from Jump Street, it's been a lot, too much.
Sometimes the price of fame is too costly. I mean, her stepping out there as a solo artist.
did we,
Can y'all hear me now?
yes.
Sorry. So her stepping out there as a solo artist, she kind of like unfold right in front of our eyes. It was, I'm a solo artist, and then I got to show up my husband. My husband is this, my husband got that. Then it was, okay, I got to have a baby. So it was a lot. Hi, Theronda. So it was a lot coming into the show. So where we got just a piece of most celebrities, we got her whole life in the matter of like 3 seasons of a show. I do feel like it's a lot that take place in those families, in those music families and stuff. I think that it's a lot of hidden stuff that they have to put in their closet. I look at it just as the same as the Jacksons. You get what I'm saying? Sometimes they want you to be that show, but they don't want to take care of the wholeness, like when the glamour and the glitz and stuff come off. So with Tamar, yeah, she needs to seek help and she needs to seek counseling. But again, like y'all said, we don't know what took place in that car. He could have said something crazy. And my thing is, if you say you gonna kill me and kill you, oh, you got to go now. Now I don't condone violence, but you have to save yourself. Don't that sound similar, ladies, to the Chris Brown and the Rihanna situation?
Oh, I don't see similarities with that. He beat her. That's just point blank facts. We know.
David said he got beat too, Clarice. David said Tamar beat him too.
But proof. Is that proof? Right now, it's still speculation.
He said he recorded it. He said he recorded it. He gonna show it in court.
I'll wait. I want to see. I do think what you said.
We may bring Theronda up to speed. Theronda, we're talking about the Tamar and David article that was sent in the group, and we was talking about our different takes on it, and so Clarice had brought up an interesting point. She said that she feels like Tamar is a very toxic person, and so what we're seeing is it overflowing into her life.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we all know Tamar. She can be a bit much at times, but then I realize, like, does she deserve all that? I don't think she deserves all that. And I do agree that, like, being around toxic people can just not be good for you. But it seems as if they're both toxic, in all honesty. They both continue to display the same behaviors. And, you know, I was reading another article regarding that stated that, like, he called and he tried to text Vince, and he was trying to get Vince in the situation. Why? I just think that, like, that honestly, they just need to separate and go their ways. And because, again, like, I don't know what happened in that, situation. No one knows what happened, but I think that it's a clear sign that they need to separate. But I also think that Tamar herself had a lot of history and a lot of baggage and things like that she didn't seem to have resolved, or she herself, from Vince and then from Vince and another. So it seems like she needs her, like you guys probably said, like, she needs her own counseling, and she needs to heal in whichever way she needs to do. But I think that there needs to be some healing with Tamar first, because no matter what, I just think that, like, she kind of, like, seen something like that she had inside of her boyfriend, and then it was like, oh, let's birds of a feather fly together. And so I don't know. I
think it was the peen.
Huh?
I think it was the peen.
I don't know. But I don't know. But I do think that, like, I kind of agree with everyone that, like, she does need some healing, and they need to separate. But I don't understand. This is the thing. I don't understand why he record. Why would you record that? I just don't understand what like happens between you and, you know, your mate should be between you and your mate. Why would you record that unless you wanted something out of it? That's just my thing. It's just, I don't know. There's a lot of red flags with both of them. I think both of them, honestly, are to blame.
I think people don't record things unless they plan to use them. Sam. I do think that what you said though earlier, Clarice, is interesting that none of her sisters have, you know, kind of come to her aid publicly. And I know you said that they may be doing so privately. I'm sure they are because they are a close-knit family. Nobody wants to see, you know, their close relative like in a place like that. But at the same time, being that they are a family that's in the public eye and they understand how the industry and how the media works, you would think that they would want to, you know, kind of give her that endorsement, for lack of better words, if they knew they could. So, because I mean, even people at, you know, our level who are not celebrities, we're not going to endorse something that we're not 100% sure about, maybe, or if we absolutely know that we can't without it coming out that we were just like on the side wrong, basically. That's all I'm saying.
Right, you're right. They never came out and they haven't came out and publicly endorsed her and be like, oh no, she don't hit people. But if you ever watch their show, her and one of her sisters have almost gotten in physical altercations several times. So it's kind of hard for me to get on, if it was one of my sisters, to get on there and be like, oh yeah, she would never hit. And then we just fought 2 days ago. So it's kind of,
But
so
that's like sibling rivalry though. Like that's just like siblings. You get what I'm
but
saying?
as adults though, we shouldn't be putting our hands on each other.
What I'm saying is they didn't hit each other.
You don't know that. I'm telling you.
Because they filmed it and then it would have been a lawsuit. So they didn't hit them. But what I'm saying is even with you ladies on the podcast, if it's something come out and it's about y'all safety or whatever, I'm gonna come to your rescue. And I'm not even your blood, but I'm gonna still come to your rescue. I'm not gonna be out there allowing some dude, you know what I'm saying, to be out there recording and talking about you hit you. Now, you know, we're gonna have a one-on-one conversation. Now you whisper and be like, girl, I'll be like, I got you, sis. I'm not gonna let you be burn up in public. I'm not gonna do that.
Me on the cross, but my thing is, if I know that you have violent tendencies, I'm not gonna put my name out there on the line and be like, yeah, maybe she did it, maybe she didn't. Like, I'm not gonna say anything if I know you have those violent tendencies. Like, if I know I've seen you do some things that's kind of questionable, like now we're talking about my code of ethics. Me getting on there and saying, hey, you know what? No, she wouldn't do such and such and such. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, she probably did. So it gets into my mind.
I agree with you too, because when she allegedly tried to kill herself or something like that, a few of her sisters did say, you know, pray for my family. I don't think they said her name, but they said pray for my family. But in this situation, nobody has really said anything. And I watched the show kind of on and off, and almost every season, like Clarice said, there's some type of, if not an altercation, there's some type of sit down that they as a group try to have with Tamar. And what does she do? Yell, do all this stuff, walk away. She just doesn't want to ever hear anything about herself. So part of me is wondering if, you know, they probably in the back of their heads, that's their sister, but they probably think, you know, I wouldn't put it past her. So, I mean, you're going to still support your sister, but they probably also know that she's about that life, or she potentially could be about that life.
Ladies, if I can take y'all back in time, remember when, I think sometimes you have to take off showbiz. You have to. Remember when her and Vince was separating and her mom got on national television and was like, yeah, and when he was beaten, I ran in there with the baby. Remember? I think sometimes they give you showbiz. Now, how is it that she's a victim and you know, not trying to be rude or anything, but Vince couldn't move that fast. But what I'm saying is, how is it that she was the victim now and now she's the perpetrator?
Allegedly, this all happened.
Allegedly, sorry, allegedly.
So can I just say this? I'm biased. I will say this, but I did read on the Shade Room that people were different in Tamar. Now, because I'm biased, and Crystal knows I'm biased, it was Cora Jakes Roberts. Actually, Cora Jakes Coleman. Sorry, and she did defend Tamar, and she did. The family did kind of back Cora up in this, and I think that because Cora's stance and because who Cora is, they allowed for Cora to speak for the family. And so I'll just read you what Cora said on her Instagram. It says, "Considering we don't know the whole story, let's not jump to the conclusion of David being a victim. He was just posting videos with Logan. Now he's getting abused, getting out here with this. Tamar is working on herself while this man is trying to be a star of the show. Tamar is simply trying to heal, and he won't let her get the help she needs without being a victim himself. David is not a victim. David is capitalizing on Tamar's life as he always has." That was the statement that they allowed Cora to make, and they backed her up with that.
Now, Theronda, that's exactly what I was saying. Months ago, when he was crying on the phone in the 911 call, his family kept saying he's trying to capitalize on Tamar. They kept saying that. They kept saying, who put that whole paragraph when they're trying to call for help, and you take the person out of it. And they were saying that was his character. They were like, he's trying to become a star and stuff. Now, I don't know. Maybe he feel like this is time to be a star and stuff. Because what I'm trying to find is this the guy that Tamar was saying on the Wendy Williams show that he was so fine she couldn't stand it? Because I'm still looking for that guy. I don't know about y'all, but I'm still looking for the one that she kept saying, "Oh, he's just so fine, I just can't stand it."
Yep, it was him.
Now, where is he?
Talking about. But do y'all think that his original motives was to be famous, or do y'all think he genuinely liked her in the beginning and then began to love the fame more?
I'm honestly not sure at this point.
First of all, we know Tamar. We know who she is. We know her personality. You know what you were getting into when you date Tamar, okay? That just comes with the territory. All the drama, all the personality, you know who Tamar is. And I think that he knew what he was getting into beforehand. And so honestly, I do believe there was some type of capitalization in that. Because you know what you're getting to. It's like dating a Kardashian. You know what you're getting into. Don't act like you don't. You know that Tamar is. It's just like, And
do you think that at any point he could change her?
I can't hear you. What?
I asked if you think that at any point he thought maybe he could change her or make things more stable for her, or do you really think it was just more about just getting famous from Jump Street?
No. I mean, I'm at a firm thing is that sometimes you just need a come to Jesus moment, and Tamar needs her come to Jesus moment. And I'm not Jesus. All I can do is pray for her. Sometimes you really, really can't change people's personality. You can't change that unless they want or unless they're motivated to change and they see a reason for change. And so, no. But the thing is, then on the flip side is this: if Tamar felt very threatened or something was going on, why did she let her son be around him? That it clearly states that Logan was with him, and he always states that oh, I'm around Logan and things like that. It's like recently Logan was around David. So it was like, I'm not sure if we know the whole story, to tell you the truth, because I know I'm not going to allow my child to be around anyone that may have hurt or harmed him or me. So that's another question that we have to ask too. So I don't know.
So I know with the filming of this new show, they was filming it from David's house, from David's apartment, townhouse, whatever, how it's set up. So she moved her and Logan into his house for the filming of the show. Because remember, if we go back to her ex-husband, he still was under a lawsuit. So that mansion that they had, all of that stuff had to be, the assets had to be sold so he can pay off those lawsuits. So basically they was living together. And so that's why I feel like he was allowed around Logan. But to be honest, I'm gonna just be honest with y'all. I'm very weary, especially in my line of work, when a man who's not the father of the child want to be around the child. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, that's just the setup.
I don't see, like you said, it could be the line of work you're in. I don't see it as a setup, so to speak. But it's funny because toxic has been my word for 2020, right? Not just, and I realized that when I see toxic traits in people, they're usually toxic traits about myself. So somebody said it earlier, like birds of a feather, you tend to recognize the traits in others, but because I am so lucid and aware about who I am, I'd be like, oh, I'm seeing this in you because it's in me too. Like I can recognize, like, oh, you toxic. That's because we toxic together. I can see it, so I know how to govern myself around those people because I see the similar traits in us. And Tamar is not self-aware. We clearly can see she is not self-aware, and she lives in her own la-la land, and everything is just just so great and so grand in her mind, and everybody else in reality, like, no, Tamar, like, you can tell, like, so I don't know. I just know they need to get away from each other as quick and fast as they can, because two toxic people with the same toxic trait don't need to be in the room together, not for too long, like.
And all those spirits and stuff around that baby. Uh-oh. Sorry, I was still muted. So ladies, we're gonna go to the next topic. So I sent you guys a video. And the reason I sent this video is because it came across my feed. It wasn't like I was looking for it. It came across my feed. And I watched it because you guys know, if it's somebody trying to tell me about myself, I got to hear it. I'll be like, wow, okay, great. And it was a man perspective. So, ladies, the next topic we had was the video that I sent, and the gentleman has his own podcast. And on this podcast, he talks about, it said most women will have to work after marriage. The guy on the podcast actually had women to call in to go against the information he was given. He said our prime years are between the ages of 18 and 22. And he said that's the time that we need to be finding that man and settling down. And so at that, what he was saying was, if it's 18 to 22, literally you guys should be in college together. So you should find your person who found a career. The 22 was because he done graduated from college and he's in a career, and so he can afford. But he was saying most women are waiting to get married later in life, so they will forever have to work. They will not get that, what you call, ideal man. So you guys tell me what y'all think.
Okay. Well, I listened to it, and one of the first things that I had noticed, and I just feel like there's a different it's a different time now. The whole going to college, fine, because he said you should be getting engaged, I think, when you graduate from college, and then you should be getting married a year after. I don't know many, how old was I? 22, 21, 22-year-olds who with a stable career. I mean, I don't know, I guess, unless you go in engineering, because even if you marry a doctor, the doctor, you have to go to medical school, then you do your residency. It's not till some years later till you're really making any money. So I get what he was saying, but
If I may put a pause there for you, Courtney, he never said you had to marry your peers. What he said was the prime age of marriage was that time. He never said you had to marry your peers. So at that time, you could be marrying someone that's 40 or 30 that's established in your career. They're just saying those are the prime. And what he was saying was those was your fertility ages. Those was the time where, you know, you got you basically can pick up and go. You're not attached to anything. Okay, so go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, he did say that, but he was saying for the women who aren't that 10% that has that model body, you need to meet your person in college. And so I just feel like times have definitely changed with that. I mean, kids aren't leaving college making $70,000 and $80,000 a year. Some are, but the majority aren't. And another thing too that I found just was kind of weird is, for me, working was never an option. Even if I found someone who would take care of me, I still, because of just, I don't want to say morals, but because of what I've been taught, I'm always going to be self-sufficient, and I always want to be able to have some type of income to where if something happens, I can fall back on that. I know a girl now, she was a nurse, she got a divorce, she got married, he took care of her, she stopped working, and now I think 5 years later they've got a divorce. She let her nursing license lapse. So now she's stuck in limbo because she can't just renew it. She has to do something, probably have to go back to school or take some courses because of that. So I just don't understand. I personally can't understand why someone would think it's okay to not work or not have some sort of income. You might not need to work a 9 to 5. You might have your own business, but you need to, it shouldn't be an option for you to work. You should work.
I only watched, the video was like 2 hours long, but I only watched like snippets of it here and there. And I just felt like what he was saying was very toxic. Again, that's my 2020 word, right? It's just so degrading. And I'm like, so you telling me that if 18 to 22, and then I'm thinking, how many people who get married, and that women, just specifically, because I think you said, Crystal, that you can marry older, but how many women between 18 and 22 end up in divorce 10 years later because you don't know who you are at 18? I am not the same person at 30 that I was at 18. I'm not the same person. Like, even when, because I got engaged right out of college, and then we started dating when I was in high school, and so between high school and getting out of college, I wasn't the same person. So you're talking about evolving, and now at 22, you're somebody's wife, and then you're still evolving, and you are definitely not the same person. So, and then this whole not working thing, Courtney, I absolutely agree with you. I think it was just how maybe we were raised, like, or it's just the grind in me. Like, what do you mean not work? Like, what am I gonna do? Like, I've been on vacation almost 14 days, and I'm like, all right, time to go back to work. Like, And you're talking about sitting at the house 365 days a year? What? And not be doing anything? No, we're gonna have to start 5 or 10 businesses. And it's like, and I think that just goes to how I was raised. Like, girl, it's okay to grind. Now I might be overly grinding sometime, but it's okay. Like, and I hated his podcast. Yeah, right.
Another thing that I didn't care for, he spent a lot of time talking about what men, I can't remember the word he used, but basically rich men, what they look for, what they want to do, how they want a wife. And I'm thinking, I don't know for sure, but his podcast looked like it was done in his basement. It didn't look like it was at a mansion. So I'm trying to figure out how you have all this knowledge with your friends, 150 men. I know these 150 men aren't making $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. And I personally don't know. I know a few thousandaires. I don't know many that are willing to find them a 18 to 22-year-old and wife up. I don't. There are many professional men that I know in my family that would want someone who is more mature. So I agree with you, Clarice. I think the podcast was a hot mess. I don't like the things that he was saying. I thought a lot of the things he said was very degrading, because he basically said, if you're over 30, it's SOL for you. You might as well just give up. And I'm just like, for someone who has self-esteem issues, or someone who may be struggling with things like that, that could just be that push that they need. And as a Black man, I don't think he should ever, I don't know, he probably didn't mean it like that, but that's just not uplifting, I feel like. And the things that he said were just rude. So I didn't like it at all. So I stopped at like 45 minutes.
One of the things that he did say was that he, out of the men that he talked to, only 3 said that they was going to be bachelors for life, that they never was going to get married. And he was saying that most men want to get married. They want to settle down with someone. They want to have a family with someone. Like, they want that stability. But I guess what he was trying to say to the women, because he did have some callers in, and I know it was a little lengthy, guys. But you know me, I'll put on it and keep like working or whatever, and keep listening to it. And so he did have callers that came in and called, and one lady was basically saying how her and her boyfriend has been together for 3 years, and he was like, he's not going to marry you. And she got offended. But tell me what y'all think about that. Do we agree with what he said? Like,
I think it's the age. So that's one of the things that you have to consider, the age of the couple. Because when you're young in your 20s, 3 years is nothing. But when you get a little older and you know who you are, like, men don't need 3 years to decide whether they, and I could be wrong, I'm just throwing it out there. They don't need 3 years once they're older and mature to know whether this is what they want for a lifetime. I don't think they need that amount of time. So I think it's age variance. If they're in their 20s, 3 years is no time. Right?
I'm gonna be honest, ladies. I agree with him with the girlfriend situation. I agree, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because sis on the call was 27. Now they started dating at 24. And on the phone, she talked about how he was establishing his career and he was making all these figures and stuff like that. You never hear her say anything about what she was doing or how could she bring something to the table. So he told her, you're going to be there another couple of years until he finds someone that he wants to marry. Sometimes I feel like we get offended when we end up being just seat fillers. Because you're right, in the 20s, 3 years may be nothing, but it's still something. That's 3 years of your life you cannot get back, wasted on somebody that's not even worth it.
But I'm developing myself. I'm finding myself. I'm figuring out what I want, what I need, when I need it, why I gotta find myself. I'm Dora. She gotta explore. Like, I don't like, even now, older and wiser, I'm still figuring things out. Like, and it's just that simple. So for me, now for them, but one of the things, I've watched a lot of those blogs where men talk about what men ain't gonna do, what they will do. But one of the common things that they said, men have to feel established. They have to feel like everything is in order. And you like, oh, it don't matter. The woman's like, oh, it don't matter. And he's like, it matters. So if the man is not in that place where he feels stable, even if she's the one, he's not gonna propose to her. So
I will
Throw the
say
whole thing
Go
away.
ahead.
Throw the whole thing away. Sorry. Throw the whole, like, I honestly, I felt it was a big contradiction. First of all, you're telling me that between the ages of 18 and 22, first of all, she should be developing and she should be establishing herself at this time. And then second of all, if she does that, and she's going to be considered a gold digger. And then she's going to be branded in these ways where that's all she wants to do is find a man who got money and live on them and yada yada yada. Then to your point, Crystal, yes, like women are not fully established mentally until they're about their 30s. They're not comfortable with themselves and things like that. And so it's like, okay, in all honesty, I'm gonna just put it out there. I don't agree with the fact that like if you stay with someone for a long time, that they're not going to be with you. But I think that you have to establish, you have to have some boundaries in that. Because in all honesty, like you can be with someone for 10 years and be doing your own thing and you know, and them let them do their own thing, and then you guys build together. And then when we, you know, when we both get established, then we talk about like what we want to do in the future, what, you know, and that's what I believe. But again, I thought just throw the whole podcast away. I found it really hard to listen to him because he was so degrading to women, and it was just like they were property. Like you pick one, you do this, you know. She dresses like this. She's established. She's smart, things like that, and then you marry her. Like I just thought it was just degrading to women all around. And I should have known how he was, because he, first of all, was very egotistical when someone tried to, or he was too prideful, like when someone tried to comment on something, he was like, done. Like, and that was before the podcast. So that was a firm thing. I knew I shouldn't have listened to him. Okay. Right before the podcast, he was egotistical and he was too prideful and thought he was just the bomb, and that he didn't even care what nobody else says. So, no, he had no positive regard for anyone else who didn't have the same perspective as him. So throw the whole thing away, the whole thing.
Okay, so some of the stuff he said was a little aggressive. Okay. But some of the stuff he said, I will have to say that I was brought up to believe a little bit. Okay. Oh. Okay, we can talk about it. Okay, we can talk about it. Okay, all right.
You're right. You're right.
Most of the culture, right. When you go off to college, what they tell you? What you looking for besides that degree?
They didn't tell. I mean,
stop it, Theronda. Most of the time, serious. Most of the time, you know, you're looking for a mate in college. Hell, you don't have people. They major more in the mate than they major.
That is a firm truth. And full disclaimer, I did find the love of my life in college. My freshman year. However, can I just say I was not looking, I was just trying to do my, live my best life. I thought I was going to be, clubbing. I thought I was going to be dating. But again, we already had this conversation. So most people around that age, they're just getting off their house. They're just getting asserting their freedom. They don't want to sit there and look for a long time or a life partner. They're like, I'm young, I'm free, I want to have fun. And that's just it. And they should be, because they're developing. And first of all, can I just say this? Males developmentally are not fully developing until they're 21. So if I'm from 18 to 21, that means that I should be looking for someone way older than 21, because males are not fully mentally developmentally mature until they're at least age 21. So I don't know, and I think that, can I just say this? There is a caveat that, if you bring in a religious point of view where, men should be the provider, and men should, do this and love their wives as Christ did in church and things like that. But I will bring this up, okay? Now, in the beginning, there was Adam, and Eve was the helper, right? And so if Eve was the helper, that meant that man was not completely full until he had that woman. I'm just saying. So why does this woman have to have all this criteria and all these things beforehand? And this man ain't even full yet. Can you guys be full together? Can we build together? Can we plant together and we both be rich? Or why does one person have to be fully developed or fully rich? Can't we just plant together? I don't know.
So Eve ate from the tree of knowledge first, so she was woke.
Yes, listen, we didn't get to that part yet, okay? We said, and let me tell you this, and Eve also acknowledged that she did it, but Adam said he said it was the woman that you put. He didn't say he fully did it. So let's just be real. But the point is that they were made to plant together. Whether she did it or not, they were made to plant together. They were made to do it together. That's the point.
So did some of the things he said offend you guys? I'm gonna tell you the truth. He reminded me of some uncles of ours where they said the craziest things, and in some people's life it makes sense, but in ours it probably don't. It does not make sense. I mean, not trying to be funny. I met my husband in college, but we were dating in college, and then we broke up. Okay. All right. And when we got back together, it wasn't no long get back together, because I already, you should be where you at. And then we got married.
Krista, I think we lost you.
I was about to say, is she frozen on everyone's screen?
Frozen. So we'll see if we can give her a second to unfreeze.
Whitney, you got something to say? You over there quiet.
That was an interesting video. I will say, I think some of the things he said are true of the demographic that he was speaking specifically about in the dating pool, but at the same time, a lot of times, like you said, Theronda, I noticed that he contradicted himself. One of the things I also wondered about while I was watching was where he was getting his statistical data from, specifically, like the numbers. I always like sources. That's just me.
Why this hung up on me?
Yeah, and then like another thing.
Isn't this? Oh.
Another thing was that like he said, there is a demographic of men out there who make enough money that they think
I
they
can hear them.
can do things, and they think that
No.
they if they're going to be
Go on here, go on.
long term in that
Because we got to put that up
marriage.
there.
Crystal, we can hear you.
Sorry.
That's okay.
But they can hear me.
Yeah, because it sucked.
Yeah, I think that there is a group of men out there. I mean, and
I'm connected.
I'd say that it's pretty visible here where Crystal and Courtney live. You know, where they think that they are, because they make X number of dollars a year, that they're entitled to a trophy wife of sorts. And you can kind of like tell those types when you're out and about. But points, like I said, I would have liked information. And also, I think that the things that he said, some of them, like before, besides contradicting themselves, did leave me with a lot of what ifs. So you always have anomalies, and I know that he was talking about the vast majority of these situations that he's been made aware of. I heard him say that he was an image consultant. I don't know how big or small his business is. I don't know where he's based. But yeah, I also think, like Courtney mentioned too, a lot of what he was saying was kind of at first glance like disheartening maybe for people who are still searching or are over a certain age, maybe not searching, but know that they're over that certain age. But I honestly did not get from him that he was trying to encourage anybody. I don't think that was his goal. He was really mean, I thought, to some of the ladies that called in. And I understand that, you know, it was debate. But to speak to what you said, Theronda, he didn't really seem to be interested in anybody else's point of view. Like he was, I mean, it was to the point where I felt like he wasn't even letting people like finish their questions or sentences. It was like, okay, why am I talking to you then if you're going to just keep cutting me off or just being nasty, being rude? I mean, I think like, I mean, I know women who are, you know, over, I think it was 25, he said was the cutoff, which I thought was pretty interesting because like you said, we're a new generation, you know, millennials, especially whether you're an older millennial or a younger one, or even the generation after that, which I cannot keep up with all these, you know, letters and things, whatever. However, yeah, people our age and younger don't get married like in high school or college anymore. Like they just don't. Like people, they're honestly, I feel like a lot of parents are encouraging their kids not to get married too early. And I think some of it is because they remember being that young and they remember being married when they were in their early 20s and not being able to like go out, do anything fun, like have like, you know, like more friends, I guess, more close friends outside of their marriage. Like, and, you know, they want you to have those experiences. I remember my mom telling me that, you know, when you get married, you should at least like try to wait a couple years before you have any kids. So you have time like with each other and have fun. And she was like, cause it sucks when she said, no offense, you know, she's like, but it sucks when you're like stuck with like kids all the time. She's like, you don't get to go out with your friends. Mom had her first child by herself when she was 19. And then I was born like almost 10 years later. But, you know, and then my sister almost 3 years after me. But I mean, she was like, I, you know, ever since I got out of high school, pretty much like I've had a kid. And she was like, and that's whack. She was like, you know, especially when you're young, you can't afford a babysitter and, you know, your friends are going to do things. She's like, you don't get to do that. It sucks. So I kind of felt like his ways of thinking, though some of them may not have been incorrect in terms of what that upper echelon of high value men, as he called them, may be looking for, are not wrong necessarily. I don't think that they always apply to like, you know, the real world out here. Also, I mean, you know, and I was like, there's other factors to consider. Like, okay, is he thinking about where people live geographically? because there are different selections in different places. Is he thinking about, like, he made the comment about going out in Miami or New York, and I was like, oh, I live in South Carolina, so there's that. Anyway, you know, so like that, he made reference to, you know, you not looking like you did in your 20s. I'm not trying to be funny, but somebody asked me what school I go to like at least every month, and I'm just like, okay, no, first of all, I did my time, okay, and maybe I should not take it that way. You know, mom's always like, oh, you'll be thankful for that later. And I'm like, yeah, but like in the professional realm, I'm not thankful for that. Like, I don't like it when someone asks me, do you know about benefits? And I'm like, oh, I've only been a benefits administrator for like 6 years. And they're like, how old are you? And I'm just like, okay. But like, I just felt like he left a lot of like room for what if, you know? And I just was like, so like, I was like, man, I wish that like I had caught this live, because I would have been happy to call in and wear a swimsuit and ask him, so Mr. Samuel, since you know every damn thing, can you tell me why I haven't found nobody? Because I feel like I would give myself at least a 9 out of 10. Now, after I drop this next 10 pounds in the next 14 days or so, I'm gonna give myself a 10. I am. But you know, I've been
too arrogant. You too arrogant. He would have cut the conversation off with you.
He probably would have hung up on me. But it's a legitimate question, Mr. Samuels. Like, I'm asking you for help, since you seem to know where these high value men are and what they're looking for. I feel like I have a lot to offer. I'm educated. I'm not, you know, ugly or nothing. Like, I, you know, have a good reputation in my community. I feel like I have done pretty well for myself. I don't ask nobody for nothing. And I just dropped these 10 pounds. So Mr. Samuels, please let me know what it is. And I will tell y'all something. Some people drop pounds in places they don't want to. Mine don't ever come off of here. So I'm straight.
So
I just need him. I'm for real. Like, I just want to know, like, I mean, because he seemed very confident in his knowledge of how like all of that works. So I would love to be informed. I would love to be enlightened. Because I'll be honest, I don't understand. I do not. No.
I think his advice, if that's what we want to call it, was very one-dimensional, and might only fit 2 or 3% of the population. Like, so I guess.
But he said that though. He said that.
He said 10%. Yeah. And that's what he's right about that.
He basically said, if you didn't come out looking like a model, then you need to go ahead and lock that man down in college, because that's what he said. And you know what? Let's just be honest though. I mean, like I said, I'm laughing about what he said because I don't take it personal. Like I said, to me, he reminded me of somebody's uncle who just randomly saying crazy stuff.
Well, it's funny you say that, Crystal, because I actually know someone in that age range who made a comment one time, and I was like, did I hear what I think I heard? But basically, he was like, because he made more money than his wife, she shouldn't say nothing when he don't put his clothes in the hamper or like do dishes and stuff. She should just be quiet. And I was just like,
and I agree, she should be.
Don't say the word I was finna say. But
I agree.
Is you crazy? Like,
I think she should be quiet.
No, just because,
I'm gonna tell you my answer.
Just because you make more money than me don't mean you're gonna be nasty. We're not having that. Like your mama.
No, I don't think it's nasty at all. Just because you make more money than me and you want to put your clothes around, you right. You don't want me to say nothing. I will quietly put your stuff in the garbage.
But see, that was that person took actually in response, and that didn't go over well. They're divorced now, have been for a while.
You know what? Listen, those clothes wasn't the reason they got divorced. It was other reasons. He just wanted you. You know when you done with somebody and you be like, dang.
Yeah, I think I one of them little straws that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, them clothes been on there. He just was ready to go, and he was like, let me grab the lowest hanging fruit and use that to get out. That's it.
But you know, when you irritated with somebody, everything do bother you.
Yes.
Like, oh my God, your toothbrush touching my toothbrush.
And also, let me tell y'all this too about that particular couple. They were already older, like in their 50s. You know how like old people just, I don't mean they're old, but older couples who've been together for a while, like you said, Clarice, it's like everything. They just be fussing about like the crazy. I mean, I know even when I go home at my parents' house, like they will get into it about like the dumbest things, and I always just be like, all right, well, I'll see y'all later. I'm gonna go home. And they're like, oh no, and I'm like, no, really, I'm
You
not.
get tired. That's all.
I don't want to hear your stress. I have my own. I'm good. So just
Go ahead, Courtney.
I can't remember what you just said, but the things that he said, I wasn't necessarily offended personally. I just don't have a tolerance for foolishness. And I just think that whole podcast was foolishness. He made a comment, and to me, I don't know what world somebody would ever think that. He said, can't remember if he said some women or if he thought, but he said some women think that if they have to work when they get married, they might as well be single.
he repeated that several times.
Yeah, and I don't know in what world I'm probably sure that there is a woman that has said that. Right. But just I don't know that I feel like every girl's dream is to find the love of their life and get married. In my opinion. But to sit here and say that that's all you value, that's what I feel like he feels that some people put, this monetary value on marriage when that's not at all what it should be. Now, I don't want y'all to think that if we, scrubbing pennies together, we still love each other, I still love him. No, money does help things, but I don't think that to say that I'm just gonna be single if I can't pay no bill, if I have to pay bills or if I have to work, I'm gonna stay single. No, because you're missing out on a blessing. And like everyone has said, or like Theronda has said, when you find that spouse, you're complete, you're whole. So you walk around just half ASSing the rest of your life because you won't have nobody to complete you. So like I said, he's a clown.
I did think
I don't even care. I don't like him at all.
Like it was like one end of the spectrum as opposed to somewhere in the middle. Like
Yeah.
See, like you said, Courtney, not necessarily marrying someone who you have to support and you have to carry all the, because that can become stressful if you're not if you don't have the mentality that you want to be in that provider role. But at the same time, I don't know anybody personally that says I don't want to get married if I have to work at all. That's weird. He was.
Did Whitney get muted?
She froze.
I muted myself after I stopped talking, but I think maybe I froze up
I think that's the enemy
I was just
trying
saying,
to take us out.
I said I think that what you just mentioned was like he was very like extreme in making that statement. I was like, there's got to be some middle ground. Like I obviously personally I don't want to marry somebody where I have to like pull all the weight and it's a burden to me and it's stressful for me, because like if I wanted to just like be broke, I can manage that. However, I don't think that like I've never met someone who was just like, well, if I have to pay any bills or work, I just don't want to get married then, because what's the point? I mean, that's like some gold digger stuff. Like I felt like his tone throughout was like super condescending, and it was just like, I mean, there are some people out here who are actually decent people that are hoping they meet someone decent too, and if they have money, then that's just a plus. You see what I'm saying? Because they actually like them.
So,
I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I'm the type of someone, and I don't like them. They're getting on my nerves. I'm done. I can't. I don't care how much money you have. If your presence infuriates me, I can't.
So let's go back to childhood, right? So let's go back to childhood. So when we're little girls and we're looking up and we're reading those fantasy stories, we're looking at princesses and damsels in distress that being taken care of by a king, okay? You know what I'm saying? Sometimes they take a little nap till a king come kiss them. Sometimes they got to throw down their weeds so he can climb up there and save them. But that's what we're looking at. That's what we're taught. We're taught that as women, we should be taken care of, okay? And so when he was saying that, I think that was what he was kind of like gearing towards. Like, you're supposed to be taken care of, but if you wait around or you play around or you have your standards or you highly educated, you're just gonna miss what we are taught as children. Like I said, the nursery rhymes, all of them have the same happy ending where a princess is being saved, or you know, and she lived happily ever after. After all those fairy tales, I would say she met this king, this prince, and they live happily ever after. That's what they are taught. That's the stories that we're teaching. Clarice, you okay? That's the Holy Spirit. That's what we're teaching that's what we're teaching our kids. So again, like I said, the stuff he said, it sounded like something, you know, an old player pimp, you know, would say, or someone who say if it was a 18 or 20 something year old listening to it, it may make them think a change. But the world is currently evolving, and you have to look at the state of marriage and how people are entering it. And to be honest with you, a lot of people are entering it now later because they are so-called, aka what Clarice say, found themselves. I guess a lot of them was missing. So they done Amber Alert and found themselves. And so now they know what they want. They know what they want, they know who they are and what they can contribute to a marriage versus trying to go in the circle figuring it out or getting white out on their marriage license.
So, can I just interject real quick to what you did, the last comment you made, Crystal? You reminded me of a childhood memory. So my best friend in elementary school and we used to have sleepovers like every single weekend pretty much. And I just want to tell everybody that we would craft these like really elaborate wedding invitations, but we definitely wrote them in pencil so we could erase dudes' names out of them. That was like every week. Because, you know, you never know how you might feel about it this week. I just wanted to tell everybody that.
Ain't nobody, I was not making no wedding invitations as no child.
I don't think that we really had an idea of what, you know, but it was just more the arts and crafts time. And then, because we spent a lot of time on them. But like I said, your name can get erased every week.
But
pretty
wedding
much.
invitations? Now, I mean, growing up, we played house. You know what I'm saying? With all your cousins out there, and it's like, who the mama, who the daddy? And then you always act like you got an attitude. Y'all ain't clean up. Y'all ain't did this. We did that. But we ain't did no wedding.
We did. Well, I think too that goes back to like what you said, Crystal, about you know, upbringing too, whether you realize it or not. Subconsciously, I think, you know, imitate what they see or what they see on TV or, you know, the people that they spend time around. And like, so I and my family am an anomaly because I'm still not married. All of my aunts and uncles and my parents have been married since they were in like their...
Take your time.
Right.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, I think that what you said about the wedding invitations thing is what I'm saying. I think that just goes back to what you see as a kid. You know, you just assume that that's like what is supposed to happen at some point. So you do things like that and think nothing of it when you're that age, you know. And like you said, Disney movies, I mean, that was like a big deal every time you had a chance to watch one. I think a lot of those things put like these ideas into like little girls and I guess little boys' heads too. And then, but to like Courtney said, and like Clarice said, my mom always worked. My mom is a retired chemist. I thought that, you know, when you are an adult, you get a job. You may not like that job, but you know, you go to school if you can, and one thing that I have carried into adulthood and that I have passed along to, you know, younger women than me, especially in my role in HR, is always have your own. And I always tell them that, you know. whether they want to hear that or not. It's
Yeah.
always smart to have your own.
Yeah, I think that's some good advice, because you see a lot of these women out here who get caught slipping and they get a divorce and then they don't know left from right. Like, and you like, girl, you should have been stacking
Literally
money.
don't know
Everybody's
what to
saying that.
I think that, like, honestly, like, I agree with the upbringing, but then as I continue to reflect on it, the Disney movies and all this stuff, you think about it, they're always a damsel in distress. They're running from something, and a man is going to save them. And so it's like we run into the situation where we look for men to fill us this void, and then we get married. And then when you get married, marriage brings out a whole bunch of insecurities, a whole bunch of things that we didn't see in ourselves that other person can see. And so when you put that together, it's like, why not prepare myself? Why not be whole before I go into this marriage? And so when those things come up and those insecurities come up, that, you know, I can resolve them and we can resolve them together. But I think that, like, that's the issue. I think it goes back to Courtney's point where, like, you know, is this really going to be conducive to a woman's self-esteem? No. And why do we feel like we have to be damsels in distress? Why can't we, you know, back to Tamar, why can't we figure it out, get some treatment, and not run to another man, try to resolve that? It's like, this is continuous cycles where we need to realize that, no, we are not a damsel in distress. We need to get ourselves together. And once we get ourselves together, then we can find a man, and then we can partake in marriage and do all this stuff. But until then, no, like, because
By that time, Theronda, we 40.
listen,
We
okay,
40. And,
yeah,
and the guy we had our eye on done got married and had 3 kids.
right, and that's why and right now that's why the divorce rate is over 50%, because they get married and they see a whole bunch of insecurities and they say, I can't live with this person and things like that. Had they not got themselves together, they wouldn't have this issue. But the thing is that, like, people actually are getting married later because people are becoming more educated, and they're building and becoming more professional. And so, you know,
I don't think that's the reason why people get married later.
what do you think is?
They tired. What you mean? You know what? Let me just be honest. I've been out the dating game for a lot of years. I mean, I'm gonna put that out there as a disclaimer. But going on dates and dressing up, you get tired of that for the same
I do
question.
not.
Listen, for the same question, when the person comes to the table, you already know you ain't gonna talk to him. You already know you're gonna make an excuse to leave, and you already know this is not your person. You may come around the vicinity of a person and their aura just repulse you. And that's the Holy Spirit saying, get on out of there, go on about your business. And so sometimes they just get tired. They just be tired.
No.
I like to date.
So they're not going to buy some milk.
I like to date. I like the idea of getting dressed and going out. And it's so funny. And I thought about a conversation me, Whitney, and Crystal had. And then somebody sent the link for something. And how basically, like, compartmentalizing guys, how you got a guy for this and a guy for this and a guy for this, and that's okay. And so, funny story happened today. So I have a guy. And I probably shouldn't be saying this while it's live, but I'm going to say it because I really don't care.
Speak your truth.
My truth. So I have a guy who I like to date. When we're out, we have a good time, but I don't like to chill with him. That's just not what I like to do. So I just got back in town yesterday, but he had asked me earlier in the week, hey, when you coming back, do you want to do something? I'm like, sure. Because I like to date him. Like I said, we have a great time when we're out. And so this morning, okay, so I was up really late last night. He messaged me this morning. I'm like, I'm kind of tired, but sure, let's go out, right? And so he gets all in his feelings, and he's like, oh, well, you know, I feel like every time we see each other, we got to do something. And I'm thinking to myself, boo, you need to know your role. Like, I don't want to, like, again, he's a very nice guy, but chilling with him is just, just not where it is. Like, we need to be out in public. We need to, and it's the dates be fun. We have a great time, but that being at my house thing, like, no, I'm good.
A seat filler. A seat filler. How you gonna say going out to date is fine, but chilling is not? Marriage is a chill session. You never clock out of that thing. You hear me? You Netflix and chill till you're dead.
But also with that, you know what?
That is a seat filler.
I could be wrong, but shouldn't married people not date? If I ever get married, my husband better date me like he met me yesterday. We better get up.
You can do dates and go on dates, and sometimes it get weird. Sometimes you be saying stuff and I be like, hold up. Where that come from?
But yeah,
you still should what it took for you to get her, you should do to keep her. I agree with that. But when you're talking about that explanation and you saying that guy don't know his role, he didn't know he was the seat filler for the real person. He didn't know.
I like dating him. We go to dates and I get to be all cute and stuff, and we go do little fun stuff. I like that. The conversation is good. He's a really nice guy. And one day he yelled, air quote yelled, because I don't like people raise their voice at me. He was like, good guys always finish last. Women don't want to date men like me. I'm like, boo, get
and they do, and they true.
I don't know.
Did you let him know that you like dating him, or
did I let him know what?
Did you let him know that? Like, did you let him know that he was, this is just the date. This is what it is.
Interesting.
Did you drive or he drove? Because if you ain't drove, you would have been ass out.
Boo. First of all, I always drive.
Okay,
Number
cool.
one.
You could have told him.
Safety first. And no, he doesn't know that I feel that way. But I just don't like what we chilling for? Like,
I mean, I feel kind of bad for him because I think it sounds like he likes you more than you like him.
And well, that's the keeper.
Somebody said something, and I think we're having this conversation that you date the guy who loves you and not the guy you love. If you marry the guy who loves you and not the guy who you love. So I'll keep him around. I enjoy him. I just like when I chill. I want to chill by myself. I want to literally because I had been gone from home about 10 days. I didn't want to. If I was going to be here, I was going to be here putting clothes up and washing clothes and, doing stuff you do when you come back from being gone for an extended period of time. I didn't just want to be sitting at my house with him. And that's any day of the week, regardless of whether or not I was just getting back home.
I just feel like, like you just said that, your word for this year was toxic. And I'm just putting it out there. Okay. So if he seems like he's not toxic, he seems as if he's a really nice guy. And you said yourself is that you can see the behavior or the traits that you have than other people, and you seem to be attracted to that. So maybe dating out, your regular comfort zone would be best for you because you seem maybe to date those who are toxic. And those who are not necessarily the best for you. So maybe he could be a keeper. Just putting that out there.
Right, which is why I haven't.
No, he's not. No, he's not. No, he's not. I'm gonna tell you why he's not a keeper. Okay, because the biggest thing that you need, you don't want with him.
Oh, I mean, I don't want to get too personal, but
I like a little toxicness in my life, just a little bit, not too much, not the Tamar Braxton scale, but just scale it down a little bit. Keep life a little interesting, keep it a little fun, just a little bit.
I think, and I speak for the men that's not on here, but I speak for the men. That is called playing games. If you're not going to get serious with this guy and you don't feel the same as this guy, let him go. Let him find someone who's going to love him and who's going to love him and not always have him paying money because they want to chill with him. Because they want to feel him.
Let's be clear about this. when we go out, it is always equally yoked. So if he takes me out, the next day I take him out, I'll pay for the activity that we do. So it's never a one-sided thing. My dating him is because like we genuinely have a good time together. I just don't want to chill with him. That is just not what I see him as.
So it sounds like you just want to be friends then and just like hang out.
Good guys finish last.
Well, why don't you just be his friend? I mean, like, there's nothing wrong with having a platonic friend that, like, you know, they pay for their own stuff or you pay for your own, or you take turns. I got you next time.
Whitney, did my husband tell you about that? Did he tell you about that?
Well, I'm talking about her situation specifically. If she, if they get
Didn't he
along.
tell you that man waiting on his entry date? Okay.
Yeah,
they can't be friends and he wants her.
Well, but that's what I'm saying though. You have to have that conversation. Like I mean, if he's not okay with it, because of like what Jackson told us, which is probably 99% of the time correct, then you couldn't be friends. But if you have the conversation with him that you're just like not into him that way and he's okay with it, which I still wouldn't really believe fully, but you know, if he said he was okay with it, that y'all could be platonic friends, maybe that. I mean, it sounds like you're already treating it platonic anyway. I mean,
yeah, I'm not gonna tell the backstory. Of course, there's some backstory.
That's cool.
I tell y'all like a little toxic in my life.
I didn't say all that.
Could it be that you think that he wouldn't
am that friend to support you. I'm that friend to support you. If a video come out and you done hit somebody, I got you. Okay.
Girl, don't do it because it's probably true. Girl, don't.
I say, let the record show that I said be friends. It's anybody.
Girl, I got you. I'm gonna get free Clarice t-shirts. I got you. I'm girl, like, no, I've never seen that side of her. I don't know what y'all talking about. Yeah, I'm gonna protect you to the end. I don't know what they're talking about. Never saw that side of her. What you mean toxic? Where you get that word from?
Sorry, thought I was muted.
Courtney, what you think about the situation with what Clarice gave an example? What you think about that, sweetheart?
And her friend, go ahead.
You're muted, baby.
Sorry. I don't see an issue as long as there was a discussion about it. Just because I feel like when you're dating, you don't necessarily, you're dating until you find someone that you want to exclusively date with. So I just feel like as long as there's a conversation, you're this person that I like to go out with. You're this person that I like to do other things with. You're this person that I don't see a problem with it. I personally have a hard time doing that just because I don't be remembering people's names. So it's hard for me to juggle and date more than one person. But I don't see
Courtney.
I don't see an issue with it because when you're dating, that's the point of dating. You're supposed to play the field, see what you like, see what you don't like. But
you can't remember the guys' names.
I don't be I ain't got time. I ain't got time to remember that.
You said you're supposed to do, but you're also supposed to like keep your story
based on their characteristics. That's how you remember.
But I'm just saying I can't do that. That's just me. But what I'm saying is I don't see a problem with dating multiple people or because you see what you want and you see what you don't want. I don't really know how you can figure out what you want, especially when you're young and dating, when you're just, unless that's just what you want, just to date one person. But I don't see an issue with what she's doing. But there needed to be a conversation with letting him know, hey, this is kind of all I want from you.
I guess my thing is like, if he's voiced some displeasure before, like, you know, is this someone who, if you looked at things in the future, would you want to stay friends with him? Or would you not care if y'all weren't friends anymore because he got all pissy and was like, oh, I'm mad at you forever and I won't be your friend anymore because you didn't like me like I like you? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. Yeah,
I mean, I'm just
too much
backstory. If they don't add value to my life, I'd be like, okay, like.
I think sometimes as women, we be okay. You know, all of us done heard, oh, well, I can fix that person, or you know, I can help that person. sometimes it's not our job to fix the broken. Sometimes it's our job to see it broken and just tiptoe out because we didn't break it. Just tiptoe out around it because we didn't break it. Because to be honest, like, again, when you're dating, you're on those dates. You know if you can see a future with those people or not. If it's not a future, it's not fair to them to keep lingering on, and you know you're not going. You can't even chill with the person.
If you don't want to, if you still want to be friends with him, you probably shouldn't like lead him on.
Because what it's gonna do is you're gonna have one of those trigger moments where you're gonna be like, "You put tissue on my floor. You walking in here with no shoes." Like, it's gonna be simple things, and it's gonna blow up, and you're gonna be, and he's gonna be like, "What? What is this? What you mean?" But the whole time it was just balling up. It was just like a volcano. It's like something. It's ready to explode because you know you don't see longevity, and you keeping the person around. All of a sudden, his scent gonna smell stink. You gonna be like, "You smell that?" You gonna be like, "So now my cologne stink."
So do y'all remember when I said
simple stuff.
somebody gets on my nerves? Like, I can't be bothered, and I meant that. It's
You know what? What's funny is what you said, Crystal, about we keep people along trying to fix them, so to speak. I think some men date me, be like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna fix that attitude she got of hers," or "I understand how you are, but I'm gonna change that." And I'll be like, "Bro, no." Be like, "Oh, you so independent, or you're so tough, and all this," and like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna change that." You are. So I think it's a double-sided thing. This is both sides of the coin. Not only us trying to fix them, but some of them be out here like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna change that little attitude of yours." You are. Oh, okay, check.
like they want to tame you, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I think that can be the case, definitely.
And I think that's a setup for a breakdown, because that's not, it's, you cannot, adults are adults. It's different. Like kids, you can kind of manipulate the environment and the situation, but not with no adults. You are who you are. That's just it. You know, every last one of us on here know what gets us going on situation, what stuff we cannot stand, and we know our pet peeves. We know trigger words and we know targets. Okay, and those might be items, persons, or things, but we all have those, and so it's nothing going to change those. You get what I'm saying? So when a person tries to invest their time to change something, no, not a person. How many times people are trying to change the world? We still in it. So, but ladies, I do like this discussion. I will be sending some, and I want you guys to send your discussions so we can have it in the ladies' room. Currently, the guys have not recorded, so I don't know what's up with that. I can still check on that. If not, we're still going to go forward with our discussions. And I was trying to get one of the gentlemen to sit in so we can ask some questions, or, you know, from basically like a professional situation going into, you know, dating situations. But again, that's something in the future that we can look at. Do you guys have any other thoughts of questions? Because I did tell you I was not going to hold you past a certain time. So I want to make sure I keep the word.
Are the guys interested in doing another group session with us, or?
So we can ask that. I think a lot of them, their jobs got, you know, work was the issue. So, you know, one of them is his own store owner, but he has been, you know, ready and available, but things pop up because when you own a business, you are the business. That's just it. The other one, I just talked to one, S. Dr. Doc today. He's studying because, you know, just because you go into the field of medicine, you know, you always have to update. So we're keeping him up, lifted up, because he said that he's hitting the books. He has to, you know, hit the books. The other ones, it's a touch and go with the communication, but we are still reaching out. I told my husband, I said, it'll be great if we could at least get one to sit in, but I feel like that'll be putting a ring of fire around them, because we are strong and we are dominant, and we have the tendency to be intimidating. Not, you know, not by any fault of our own, that's just who we are. So we, you know, it's kind of like, okay, you're gonna put me in the ring of women. What they gonna ask me? Like, you know, got to get their guard up. But I mean, none of us, I think, are disrespectful by anything or any means, and we know how to phrase our questions to get answers. So if not soon, I will send a text message to everyone to let everybody know what they decide on that. But we were working, and I know everybody did a consensus and came up with one, and that's the one that actually was free to do it. So we're going to try to schedule one around him. And he's a gentleman, and I think he's dope. I think that he's one of those down to earth guys. So I think that he'll be dope. I think he's a good choice for us. So we have 7 minutes to close out. So you guys, if you can say your name, where people can find you, any big business tags or anyone you want to tag on here, so we can close out.
I can go first. My name is Whitney Wright. I am on Facebook under the same name. I'm on Twitter at Whitney Be Like. I am full-time human resources professional. Also do consulting independently in HR and mass communications marketing, and still awaiting the grand opening of my Airbnb.
And she's on TV. I saw the ad.
That's just a little moonlight, you know, every now and again. Thank you, Clarice. I recently did a commercial for Mungo Homes. I wasn't aware that it was going to air, I guess, Saturday night, and I didn't even see it. So somebody else let me know that they thought they saw me on TV, and I was out of state. So the commercial market during the Clemson football game was different where I was. So I was like, at first I forgot about it, and I was like, what are you talking about? And then we got it together. So yes.
Look at you out here being on, look at you, you're an actress, girl. And also a model. My name is Crystal Salam, and I launched my business Saturday. Let's Make It Crystal. I was very nervous and scared, but with my friends and with you guys supporting me and pushing me, it was a great launch. I probably told my husband nerves up because he literally was like, just say the word, I'll push the button. And you know me, I was like, no, don't push the button. Hold on, don't push the button. How you gonna push the button? Like, I was tearing his nerves up. But I feel like it was very successful. Whitney was one of the models, and that was one of the profile pictures that we launched. And I'm pretty sure she had a lot of people in her inbox or commenting and things. So she can add model to her title. Also, Desiree was another one that took the time out to help and support me with launching it. And it's called Let's Make It Crystal. You can find me on social media with those under those titles, and on Instagram. I'm following on Instagram with my doggy, Winston Lagoshi. You can follow him as well. And you guys, I'm gonna be honest, that's a whole nother world out there. You know what I'm saying? There's a whole lot of going on over there. But anyway, and then the Ladies Podcast. This is the podcast that it was started from a branch of my husband's Gentleman Podcast. So I'm glad we have started and molded our own lane. So whoever is next.
Clarice Thomas can be found on Facebook under that name. On Instagram and Twitter, you can find me under Reese21. And just so you all know, the versus battle with Gladys Knight and Patty LaBelle is on. Just FYI, so I got it streaming in the background.
Clarice, one of your students hit you up talking about, hey, Miss Thomas.
What are you talking about?
On Facebook when you post your picture.
Oh no, that was a former coworker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the former co-worker. No, she, and it's funny because she actually taught me. She was one of the first teachers I met when I started teaching, and I credit her for being one of the teachers who taught me how to teach. So yeah, big ups to her, Miss Pelton. Love her to death.
I guess I'll go. My name is Theronda Myers. You can find me on Facebook. On my personal Facebook is T. Lanice Myers. Also, I am the owner and only operating clinician at Abide Integrative in Worcester, Massachusetts. So you can find me at Abide Integrative on Facebook as well as on Instagram.
And my name is Courtney Mucklin. You can find me on Facebook at Courtney Mucklin.
Courtney, you not on Instagram?
I am, but I don't always know. I'm not on there enough to remember my password because I can't think of what my password is. I do have a page, but I don't know what the password is, and I don't remember what my handle is. So I'll figure it out.
So, ladies, this was another successful podcast of the Ladies Room. And so I will be looking forward to you guys next Sunday, where we will be sending the other ones. One of the things I want to say before I go, I don't know if you guys follow her. I follow her. I love her. I think she's dope. Tiana Taylor, her and her husband had a bathroom delivery again with their second child, Rue Rose, a little girl. And I thought that was dope. Erykah Badu was her doula. And I was like, yo, that's even dope. But yeah, I like that. I follow that. I keep up with them. And she had posted a picture on her Instagram, and the baby is beautiful. Like, she's, oh my God, she's just precious. So thank you guys for joining the podcast. And we will finish out so you guys can watch Aunt Patty and Aunt Gladys battle it out. Bye.